Heroes and villains, demons and aliens, blood and gore. Invincible is a lot of things, but is it a good show? Let's find out. Invincible is an adult animated superhero series streaming on Amazon Prime. The story follows young Mark Grayson, the son of a world-famous Superman-like hero named Omni-Man, whose fame and heroic feats are legendary in the world. Mark has just turned 18 and he's started to develop his own superhuman abilities. The plot centering around Mark as he learns how to use his new abilities, all the while several other plots and character arcs developing all around him. I'm just going to be honest with you now and say I have never heard of the Invincible series of comics. I have never read a single one and didn't even know that they existed before watching this show. I hadn't even seen a trailer for the show beforehand. I was just scrolling through Prime and I happened to see it come up after 2 episodes had aired. And I'll tell you, I was blown the fuck away. This has by far been one of the most viscerally brutal, gory animated shows I have ever seen. As soon as the first episode ended, I immediately contacted friends, other people who I knew who I would think would be interested in such a thing, and I had to get them to watch it. And if you haven't watched it, this is going to be spoiler free, but you need to watch this show. I know it's probably bad that I'm saying that right from the beginning here, considering that this is supposed to be a review, but yeah, Invincible is fucking amazing. With every single episode that passed, I couldn't stop. I kept wanting to watch more. It kept the excitement high, and any time that I sort of felt a small little lull, like perhaps I was getting a bit bored, the show picked it up. It picked it up right at the right moments, right at the right time. The action scenes did not seem gratuitous. They felt important. They felt like they had a purpose, that they were there for a reason. And by the time you're done this first season, you see what the reason is. It really does lead you on this journey that's unexpected. It subverts all expectations, all of mine anyway. This show has really raised the bar with smart, well-animated superhero content, mature stuff that isn't just violent for violence sakes. This is an unpopular opinion. I have never been a fan of The Boys. And I feel like a reason for that is it almost feels like misery porn. It just feels like it is such a dystopian show. You really don't see a lot of hope in a lot of the characters. And sure, it's mitigated with comedy and all of that, but The Boys doesn't really speak to me because it doesn't ever have that heart. It doesn't really have that hope. This show does. And mostly in its main character of Mark Grayson.
I'm scared, Dad. What if I can't do this?
You hear it?
I do.
Get ready. Were you nervous?
A little.
But you caught it.
I did.
Mark is phenomenal. He is voiced by Stephen Young, who is joined by an absolute blockbuster cast. I don't think there's another animated show that has so many talented, seasoned people in its cast. Sandra Oh does a remarkable job playing Mark's mother. J.K. Simmons, of course, brings an absolute gravitas to the role of Omni-Man. Nolan Grayson. There's not a moment that he's on screen and speaking that you don't feel he's putting the work in. Every word that comes out of this character's mouth makes you feel so unsettled.
You don't seem to understand. Earth isn't yours to conquer.
Then it has an amazing supporting cast as well. It has an absolutely blockbuster supporting cast. You got Zachary Quinto as Robot, Jillian Jacobs as Adam Eve, absolutely amazing. Jason Mantzoukas as Rex. I think that this was actually the first time that I used Amazon's little feature where if you pause the show, it shows you the actors in the scene. I was actively doing that because I'd hear a voice and I was like, wait a second. Is that Ezra Miller? Yes, it is Ezra Miller. Like, this cast is undeniably excellent. You start to lose track of how many, if you're paying attention, if you're not just watching it, you start to lose track of how many talented, famous people are actually in this. For instance, Mark Hamill, it would be a big deal if Mark Hamill were in an animated show. That might even bring a lot of people in. But Mark Hamill himself, Luke Skywalker, kind of falls off the wayside as he plays this sort of mundane costume-making character who's a friend to Omni-Man. It got to a point where I forgot that Mark Hamill was in this show. And that is a testament to how this show really draws you in and makes you feel immersed in the lore of the show itself. Even though this show is based on a comic, and the comic world is much closer to a DC sort of universe, a clear reference to a Justice League with the Heroes of the Globe, I think that's what they were called, this sort of Justice League-like team that exists in the world. This universe is much more closer to a DC universe than it is to a Marvel, and yet it feels closer to reality. Things that happen in this show, it feels like, yeah, that is what it would be like, and that is what would happen were that situation were to happen in real life. So even though it's based on a comic, the internal logic feels like it's based in reality, which is kind of not unique, but it is unique in this sense because they did it right, because it is done so flawlessly. There are definitely times where tonally the show kind of loses me a little bit. You know, if it feels like they go a bit hard on the comedy, but then they really do a great job at that moment where I'm sort of waning, they really draw me back in. They come back up with some sort of sequence that I was not expecting whatsoever. And that's probably my favorite thing about this show. I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen next. That's pretty awesome. And it would be really easy to say that any of these characters are sort of just one-offs. Oh, they just brought it in for the voice actor. But these are really fleshed out characters. Amazing support characters. You learn a lot about them, and what I really like is that these side stories, these side story arcs with these characters actually do influence and have an effect on the plot. They're not just there for no reason. They're there to help push everything forward and planting seeds for clearly what they have planned as many, many seasons of content. The violence, although gratuitous, really didn't feel that way. It really felt like there was a reason for it. I mean, no person bleeds as much as the people in this show bleed. The blood is, I really feel, is used as a metaphor for just being a visceral visual experience for us. Blood seems to be an ongoing theme in this show, including with the title card where, on the first episode, it's completely clean. With each subsequent episode, there's another splash of blood on it. There even is a climax moment, without spoilers here, where a character is finally revealed to be to have done something absolutely horrible and literally has blood all over their hands at that time. It's symbolic. It was beautifully crafted. I couldn't think of this show being written any better than it was. You know, with a lot of these shows, sometimes you can sort of have a character who you start to like, but then they fall flat at the end. I never felt cheated. The side plots felt like they had real ramifications, real implications in the world. There really isn't much about this show that I didn't like. For a first season, I would have to say that the season finale of this show so perfectly wraps what a season finale of a first season of a show should be. If other shows could learn how to do this, and I believe the way that they did it was the climax kind of happened right away. Instead of saving it for the end and having that cliffhanger moment, they give you all of the tea, so to say, right at the beginning. And they don't lead you on, and then they spend the rest of the episode sort of building up and showing you the ramifications of that climax. And it gives you enough, you know, if you wanted to just walk away at this point, you did get a completely conclusive story. But there's no way I'm going to walk away from this. What they've set up, the excitement that they've built, the world that they've built, the blockbuster cast, the music was beautiful, the writing was excellent. It keeps you on your toes, it keeps you guessing. So if I had to rate it, I've never rated anything before. This is my first time doing the stubborn review thing. Yeah, what would I rate it? 9 out of 10. 9 out of motherfucking 10. No, 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. This is so close to perfection. I wanted to give it a 10, but I can't give it a 10. But it also doesn't deserve a 9, so 9.5. I know this is my first review. It can only go downhill from here. But what did you think? Have you seen Invincible? Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, as all the YouTubers say. I guess I'm a YouTuber now too, aren't I? Huh. Anyways, I want to thank all of our patrons. If it wasn't for you, this sort of extra content wouldn't be able to exist. Did you like this? Is this fun? Should I do more? Let me know. And until next time, bye.
The thing is, you're different. You actually are invincible.